to the Prep Zone. We're kicking off the prep football season with a big rivalry matchup as the Fountainbleu Bulldogs have traveled to take on the Lakeshore Titans. Now, I would be remiss if we didn't start off with talking about assistant coach for Lakeshore, Greg Battistella, who suffered a stroke during Lakeshore's Jamboree game at Slidell last week. The community has rallied big time around Coach Battistella and his family, raising money for him by selling Bat Strong t-shirts on campus and around the community, as well as Lakeshore wearing GB stickers on their helmets tonight in honor of Coach Battistella. And now turning into X's and O's, we bring in our color analyst, John Sartori. John, you know all about this rivalry as a student at Lakeshore. What's going through their minds here tonight?
Yeah, Lakeshore class of 2015, so it's been a few years, but I'll tell you the intensity is just as high as it was a few years ago, maybe even higher now. If both schools go 1-9 this year, if that one win is against their rival in this game, it makes their entire season as a student body, and it's also a good test for both teams to open up the season. And
it's a new year. Lakeshore, what do we know about them coming into tonight?
Well, we know that they've got an experienced quarterback in Chris Penton. He started all 10 games last year, but he's got to take care of the football tonight. He threw 2 interceptions in the Jamboree last week. He's got to take care of the football. He's got a great weapon on the outside, Jacob Bernard, one of the better athletes in all of St. Tammany Parish. He's going to be an X factor tonight. He was last year in the Lakeshore loss. He's looking to be an X factor in a Lakeshore win here tonight.
And on the other sideline, the Fountainbleu Bulldogs, what do we know about them coming into week 1?
Not a lot. Justin Nelson is a player who didn't get a lot of reps. Justin Stolberg was the starter last year, and he got reps behind Mason Blocker. That's not something that Nelson has an advantage of. So it's an advantage for Fountainbleu that Lakeshore doesn't know a lot about him, but we don't really know what we're going to expect tonight from the Fountainbleu offense.
John, thank you. We talked to the coaches a few moments ago. Here's what they had to say. This is a huge rivalry matchup, you guys in Fountainbleu. How is your team feeling with that rivalry? Are they a little too up and you need to bring them down, or do they have their emotions in check?
That's kind of been what we've talked about all week, is to kind of focus that. Don't get so emotionally high that we have a fallout at some point in halftime or third quarter or whatever it is. So it's, we'll see. I don't know. Sometimes you can't control what kids do, but, I know they're excited right now.
Pregame with Coach Blocker. Coach, you have some new faces on the field on this team. You lost some talent last year, but you're bringing in the next group this year. How's your team look coming into week 1?
Well, new faces maybe for Friday nights, but not new to us. We know these guys pretty good. Practice has been going real well, other than this week with the, of course, the hurricane and tropical storm coming through and blowing some bad weather our way. But we've got on a practice field a couple of times this week. Good and sloppy, but it was productive.
And a big rivalry matchup. How do you keep your kids' emotions in check coming into a game like this?
Well, that's been a mantra all week. It's just staying focused and not letting those emotions get too ratcheted up until it's game time.
Bernard and Gaucher back to receive for the Lakeshore Titans as Chris Mastio looks to kick off the 2017 Prep Zone football season. The whistle from the official. And the 2017 season is underway as the ball bounces, and it's fallen on by Gaucher.
Yeah, trying to keep the ball away from Bernard. He had a kickoff return touchdown in the game last year against Fountainbleu. And in this series, Lakeshore has returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns. And the first win for Lakeshore in this series, the first kickoff, the opening kickoff was returned for a touchdown, and the first win for Lakeshore in the series. So a little bit of history on their side for Fountainbleu and trying to keep it away from a dangerous return man in Bernard.
We'll get our first look at this Lakeshore offense with Chris Penton at quarterback, taking over the 19. Looking over to the sideline for the play call, and at running back is Josh Hayes. His first year in that position, of course, replacing Randy Raymond from last season. Snap is back, play action, screen out to the right side, and he's brought down by Sonny Silvas for a loss on the play.
Good play by Silvas, but even though it didn't go for much, Penton looks to have a much stronger arm than he did last year, just based upon that. And then watch out for Hayes tonight. He's been a player for Lakeshore in this system for his 3 years, where he's been all over the field. He's really going to be an athletic playmaker in the backfield tonight.
In 3 different positions for Hayes. It's safety, outside linebacker, and now running back. So that brings up 2nd and 13 as Penton calls in the play. Motion from Bernard. Calls for it, dropping back, looking downfield, pressure coming. Toss to the middle. And he will be brought down by Blake Marshall. That was Hayes on the middle screen.
Yeah, conservative play calling early from the Titans. Good job staying contained from Fountainbleu. That's how Lakeshore beats you, is you lose contain. They're one of the more quick teams, and especially on this turf. A quick playing surface and good contain from Fountainbleu brings up third down.
Blake Marshall, a 5'9", 190-pound senior for the Fountainbleu defense. And there was a flag on the play called on an illegal shift on Lakeshore. So that'll back them up. Early penalties.
Yeah, things definitely going Fountainbleu's way early. Can't have those penalties, but
Hayes coming out to the sideline. Smeraldo checking in. And Penton will be in the empty set. You'll have 3 to the bottom of your screen, 2 to the top. 2nd and 18. Penton calls for it. Pressure coming. Running. Toss it to a wide open Smeraldo. First down and then some. Crossing the 40. Still on his feet. Crossing the 50. And he's wrapped up and brought down after crossing the 50-yard line by Blake Marshall. But a big gain for Lakeshore.
Yeah, big gain. Fountainbleu lost their coverage, blown coverage at time, but that really should have been a touchdown. If Lakeshore was able to get a block on Blake Marshall, that would have been an easy touchdown. Receivers couldn't get it done that time, and instead of having 6 points, they do get it across midfield.
So that'll bring up 1st and 10 for the Titans from the 44-yard line. 10:45 to go here in the first. Penton calling for it. Looks downfield, pressure coming from Ducree. Launches it downfield. It's incomplete. In and out of the hands of Jalen Willis.
Yeah, good adjustment by Willis. A little bit of a push-off. Didn't get the flag. Just couldn't hang on to it at that time. Something concerning I'm seeing, though, early from Lakeshore is timing routes have not been there. Penton's had to leave the pocket a lot. He's got the athleticism to do it. But when we start getting this game, it's a very hot night here tonight. We start getting this game in the 3rd and 4th quarters, that could lead to some fatigue issues.
So 2nd and 10 from the 44. Hayes back in. Smeraldo comes out. 2 to the bottom of your screen, 2 to the top as the play comes in, and they're using the cards with Jurassic Park and Darth Maul, different signals to call in plays. Penton calls for it. He'll keep this one. Designed run for the quarterback, and he'll gain 2.
Yeah, just trying something different that time. I'd like to see Lakeshore try to run the ball a little bit more with Hayes. I'd like to see what he could do early on because, like I said, he is an explosive playmaker. Also, we haven't seen Jacob Bernard touch the ball but once on that screen pass. Couldn't get it set up. Look for him here on 3rd and 7 across the middle.
3rd and 7 from the 43. Empty set with Penton alone in the backfield. 3 to the bottom of your screen, 2 to the top. Calls for it. Looking downfield. Catches Jacob Bernard, and he is gone. Touchdown, Jacob Bernard.
I called it, Grant. I called it. Bernard over the middle. He will be a very, very tough assignment for Fountainbleu tonight, and he strikes first right there.
Jacob Bernard coming through big, just as you said he would. So 6-0. Lakeshore leading, 9:45 on the clock, and Massa on to attempt the extra point. Massa, a senior for Coach Jones.
He's got a cannon for a leg, Grant.
Snap is back, place, up, and it's good. So with 9:45 remaining here in the first quarter, Lakeshore leads 7-0. Lang and Kirby back to receive for the Bulldogs as Massa kicks off for Lakeshore following the touchdown. This will bounce to Kirby and into the end zone for the touchback, so we'll get our first look. We were talking about the question marks for this Bulldog team earlier. We'll get our first look at Dawson Nelson for Fountainbleu.
Yeah, Dawson Nelson, 5'10", 160-pound junior. Heard a lot of good things about him in the spring. The other question mark is at running back. Brandon Akawi graduating last year. It looks like Iverson Celestine, a freshman, is taking over not only his jersey number but his starting position. They're going to have to get that ground game going to allow Nelson to get comfortable back there in the pocket.
Celestine, just a freshman. Rhett Sharp and I went out to a junior high game last year, and he had defenders bouncing off of him in Fountainbleu Junior High last year. Snap is back. and that is Davenport, dragged down by a host of Titans.
Yeah, it looked like number 12, Adam Randolph, was on the tackle, sophomore safety who had a big freshman year last year, gets the first tackle of the year for Lakeshore.
So Fountainbleu lining up in that two-back set with Celestine and Davenport back there with Nelson. And they have some size on their line.
Yeah, a young line.
And the handoff goes to Celestine, going left side, and he's bottled up by the Titans for a loss, about a yard loss.
Yeah, it's a young offensive front, senior, junior, so it's pretty experienced. I take that back. But for Lakeshore, Tylen Driver, he's going to be a D1 prospect at the end of this year. He gets a stop there. But not just him. This linebacking core, one of probably the fastest in the entire district for Lakeshore. Could be tough to run outside of them tonight.
That brings up 3rd and 10 for the Bulldogs at the 20-yard line. Nelson calls for it, and he'll pass. Looking right side, launches it up, and it goes to the sideline, caught by an assistant coach.
Yeah, don't know what exactly Nelson saw there that he needed to throw it away. Looked like he had a man open in Kirby. Definitely not the start you want if you're Fountainbleu. You let up a touchdown and a 3-and-out. Those question marks have shown to be deserving, at least looking at that first series.
So that'll bring up 4th and 10. Bernard drops back.
And there's a lot of players coming on late for Fountainbleu. Just a lot of confusion on that Bulldog sideline right now.
A low snap, punted away. High punt, not a lot of distance though, and Bernard will call for the fair catch. And Lakeshore will take over at about the 39-yard line.
Really, really nice play there by Bernard. A smart play. Be easy on a short punt like that. Just say let it go, but he runs up, and he gives his team excellent field position. And we've only played less than 4 minutes, and Lakeshore could go up 2 scores here. Probably get into Massa's range with just 10 or 15 yards and just 40 yards away from 6 more points.
So 1st and 10 for the Titans at the 40-yard line. We see Penton again. Hayes in the backfield with him. 3 to the bottom of your screen, 1 to the top. Went with the hard count, and now getting a new play in from the sideline. Penton calls for it. He'll hand off Hayes. Up the middle, hits a wall, trying to bust through. Helmet off. But yeah, everybody up here in the press box kind of thought the ball came loose. But about a gain of 3 for Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes is he's going to be a physical runner. If you watched him at all his first 3 years on defense, you know he's a physical player. He can go between the tackles because he also has the speed to get it outside. And he's going to be somebody that Lakeshore looks to wear down this Fountainbleu defense with as the game goes on.
Empty set here on 2nd and 7. 3 to the bottom of your screen, 2 to the top.
Watch out for the screen near side.
Bernard in motion, snap back, and we have flag thrown. Looks to be a false start.
You saw the formation there that time. Anytime Lakeshore runs that formation where they have a wide receiver off the line, they try to run a screen play. Looked like either illegal motion or false start, one of the two. But they really love running those screen plays to Bernard. Look for Smeraldo to get in there a little bit on those. And we'll see if they go back to it here on 2nd and 12.
7:52 to go here in the first. Same formation. Bernard, same motion. Snap back, Penton looking, launches it downfield, wide open, caught by Willis. He is gone, touchdown, Lakeshore.
And Fountainbleu thought the same thing that I was thinking. They were going to go to that screen for Bernard, who was a decoy that time, and Willis, who is a player who could be an X factor all season for Lakeshore. He's battled injuries, and he gets open deep that time. And I got to tell you, Chris Penton, he was a big question mark. Fountainbleu not the only team with a quarterback question mark. I thought Penton might be. He has not shown to be here in the early stages.
Yeah, Penton has put in a lot of work with private quarterback coaches in the offseason to improve that arm and accuracy. So Josh Massa on to attempt the extra point. Snap is back, kick is up. And it is good, just like that. 7:39 remaining here in the first quarter, and the Lakeshore Titans lead 14-0. Massa on the kickoff after the Lakeshore touchdown. Puts it back deep, and it will go into the end zone for another touchback. It's a great weapon to have in Massa. He's putting it in the end zone 2 touchbacks in a row.
Yeah, like I said, he's got a cannon for a leg, can hit field goals from about 45 with some consistency. But for Fountainbleu in this rivalry, the history of it, this is really uncharted territory for them. Lakeshore has had a few blowout losses. Fountainbleu, the losses to Lakeshore have been relatively close. So this is really uncharted territory. The only time they've been down this much was in 2013 here at Lakeshore in the first loss for them. They bounced back to make it a game in that one. This offense needs to get going if they want to have a similar result tonight.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Have Davenport and Nelson handoff. Davenport coming near sideline, has a hole running through, and he will be dragged down by Cody Orvin.
Looked like a false start by number 77, Isaac Gray, but they didn't call it. Looked like he jumped early on the right side, but Davenport is a player who has gotten playing time his first 2 years and a very good athlete in the backfield for Fountainbleu.
Nelson calls for it. They'll go Davenport again, this time left side, trying to bounce outside and get around the Lakeshore defense. He gets there, and he'll cross and get the first down before heading out of bounds.
You're going to have to rely on Davenport not only running the football, but also receiving out of the backfield, looking to get some confidence built for Dawson Nelson.
Davenport was run out of bounds by Zach Womack, 5'11", 175-pound senior.
Bulldog first down.
So 1st and 10 from the 30.
Titan fans, make some noise.
Snap back. They'll go Davenport again, this time up the middle before being bottled up after a gain of about 3.
Yeah, we'll see. It's 3 straight carries for Davenport. We'll see when he gets spelled. He could wind up with a very nice game stat-wise tonight, just with the amount of carries he's going to get. But again, at some point, Lakeshore, you got to think they're going to load up the box and force Nelson to throw the football.
Yeah, pressuring the first-year quarterbacks. Orvin and Ziegler on the stop.
Dwayne Bernard just came into the game for Fountainbleu at running back. He's also a quarterback on this team.
And that's the keeper, and he's bottled up by Zach Womack after a gain of about a yard.
Yeah, but I like the play call. Nelson also a DB, so he's got some speed. I would try rolling him outside of the pocket. Tough decision here for Coach Blocker, though. You could run or pass. It's 3rd and short.
Yeah, 3rd and 4 call coming in from the sideline, and we will have our heat and humidity timeout. Here, our first heat and humidity timeout, and boy, I bet they need it down there. Now, recently, Treston Deku, who plays for the Houston Texans, was at a joint practice with the Saints. I caught up with him there. Here's what he had to say.
Houston Texans 5th-round draft pick and Lakeshore High graduate Treston Deku returned home for a joint practice with the Saints prior to the Saints and Texans preseason game. A dream come true for this Covington native.
I always wanted to play in front of my family, even though it was playing with the Saints or playing against them. And just for them to come here and watch me practice, see the smiles on their faces, and they tell you how good you did. They don't even know you did good or bad, but they tell you did good, so you just take that in, man, and just make you smile on the inside, and that's all they did.
Deku says moving from college to the pros has been a lot of hard work, but he's found a way to improve in each practice.
Just to transition that and then straight to the league, it's kind of difficult at first, but that's what it's all about. You just got to grind every day, and find a way to get better every day, and that's what I'm trying to do, take one day at a time.
And this former Titan is thankful for his time at LHS.
I'm a Lakeshore alum, and I'm gonna make that school proud. And I love Lakeshore. I love all the faculty and staff there, and the teachers. They helped me out so much. And Coach Rout, when he was there, man, they just helped me out. And so, hats off to Lakeshore.
Grant Yenny, Channel 13.
Make some noise, Titan fans.
Following the heat and humidity timeout, it's 3rd and 4 for Fountainbleu, and they'll shift here before snapping the ball. You have 3 to the bottom of your screen. Nelson calls for it. He'll hand off to Davenport. Right side shakes off one defender, but he's brought down by Slade Ziegler after a gain of about 1.
Yeah, they're going to bring up 4th down. Close, though.
And John, I hear we just ran the story about Treston Deku. I hear you have a story.
Yeah, he was actually a senior when I was a freshman here at Lakeshore, and we both ran track, and we both participated in the 400. We had to do time trials to see who was going to run varsity at first meet, and I got in his heat, and he beat me by about 45 seconds. And I will tell my grandkids that NFL cornerback Treston Deku raced me in track.
4th and 1. Handoffs, and he'll be bottled up. It looks short. But handoff was to Dwayne Bernard, and the Lakeshore Titans look to have stopped them. And they're saying, officials are signaling first down. I don't know about that.
He got a spot. I was going to say it'd be easy to second guess it from here. With the way Lakeshore's been moving the football, I personally would have punted, but man, to not even have a measurement there, that generous spot for Fountainbleu.
And the fans let them know how generous it is here on the Lakeshore sideline. So 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Nelson by himself in the backfield as he motions Davenport out, and it'll be a screen to Davenport. A very slow and high pass goes through the hands of Davenport.
Incomplete.
That was a play that confused the Lakeshore linebackers as they had to go out and cover the receivers. They got out there late. They had it set up the way they wanted to, and that's 2 passes now where Nelson has just floated the ball too high, has not gotten that ball out there with any zip, and that's going to have to change. We'll see if Fountainbleu makes any game plan changes as they're running the same play here.
Sending Davenport back out here on 2nd down. Now Nelson looking downfield as pressure bears down. It's picked off. Picked up by Adam Randolph.
Watch behind him.
Going, and he's run down from behind by Nicholas Ford.
Randolph was a player last year who came off very strong. He's a ball hawk. That's all you can say about him. He does it again.
Adam Randolph with the interception.
And there has not been a lead for Lakeshore that's been 20 points in this rivalry's history, and they can do that right here. And we're not even through the first quarter yet.
If 1st and 10 and Lakeshore taking over at the 18-yard line, we called Adam Randolph's name quite a bit in that Salmon game
yes.
he did at the end of last season. Motion, snap back to Penton. Give coming around near sideline, still on his feet, still going, and pulled out of bounds. Taken down by Traylon DeVille, the 5'9", 155-pound sophomore.
Yeah, and I love what Coach Jones is doing there, really getting Jalen Willis involved. Has not been involved. When he played his freshman year, did not get involved as much as he may have should. But getting involved early, running the football, catching the football, and showing very good patience that time. And I would expect Penton to run a quarterback draw here, try to get in the end zone.
So 1st and 4, 4:32 to go here in the first quarter. Lakeshore already leading 14-0. Penton by himself in the backfield. Motion from Smeraldo. Penton looking downfield. Smeraldo's open, and it's there. Touchdown. Lakeshore, a beautiful placement pass to Smeraldo.
Yeah, I'd say Chris Penton, 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. I don't know if he had 3 touchdowns till week 4 of last year. I mean, he has just looked excellent back there, making good decisions. And it's not just him. This has been as well executed an offensive first quarter or quarter in general that I can remember in a very long time for Lakeshore. Everything is clicking for this team. And that Fountainbleu side that traveled very well, very quiet right now.
Massa on to attempt the extra point. Snap is back, and it is good. So with 4:27 to go in the first quarter, Lakeshore leads 21-0 at home. Kirby back to receive the kickoff from Massa following the Lakeshore touchdown. They lead 21-0 here in the first quarter, and this one is blown dead before the kickoff. A delay of game called on Lakeshore.
It's funny they call it because I was during the timeout I was kind of thinking, man, we're really getting this kickoff quick. So yeah, weird call there.
John, we have this 21-0 lead. What does Fountainbleu need to do to get back into this one?
It's an easier question to ask me than it probably is Coach Blocker right now because I don't know. They got the running game going a little bit. You got to try to not get too greedy right now. Still got a lot of time left. If they can get that ground game going.
Massa kicks it off, boots it downfield. This one going to Kirby, and will he get 3 touchbacks in a row?
Massa's kick with the 5-yard penalty is still a touchback.
And well, they started to say run the clock, he's going to come out, and then no, they changed it at the last.
Yeah, it
second,
looked like
said it's a touchback.
looked like some confusion. I know if at least 1 foot's in, it's a touchback. So a good call there. And I mean, like I said, just everything going Lakeshore's way. Special teams, defense, offense, everything. As Dawson Nelson's going to come back out. I hope he can prove me wrong a little bit and lead this Fountainbleu team to at least a few first downs. You gotta halt that momentum a little bit if you're Fountainbleu.
1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Nelson and Davenport in the backfield. Snap, play action to Davenport. Screen pass out. Dancing around and eventually brought down is Nicholas Ford.
The thing that surprises me the most about Fountainbleu is they were able to put up some points in the Jamboree last week. And that was against a pretty good defense in Live Oak, I believe. And so to come out here, Lakeshore, also a very good defensive unit, but they scored 2 touchdowns, I believe. The fact they've got nothing going has been very surprising for me.
2nd and 5, keeper by Nelson, and he'll gain about 3.
Yeah,
on the quarterback keeper.
that's something that they need to start doing a little bit more. Nelson, that's the one thing you can't knock him for so far is his mobility. He's got very good wheels, and they're going to sneak it here on 3rd down.
3rd and short, sneak, and he will get it as he barrels forward behind those big offensive linemen.
Yeah, now Fountainbleu's getting into their game plan a little bit. They want those quick plays, and definitely it's a rhythm because when they throw an incomplete pass or have a run that goes for a loss, they kind of have to start from scratch again. They want to have at least 4 yards a carry, 5 yards on a pass. That way they can keep that game plan going.
1st and 10, and they're very quick tempo now for Fountainbleu. Handoff goes to Davenport, and he's stopped after a gain of about 1.
That's what I'm talking about. When you only have a gain of 1 right there, I mean, nobody's fault, just good execution. But Lakeshore, it slows that tempo down because then you really have to start calling specific plays for the down and distance, and it halts that momentum that you have for Fountainbleu.
2nd and 9 for the Bulldogs. They'll hand off to Davenport, and he's hit in the backfield, and he'll be brought down by a host of Titans, including Driver and Adam Randolph.
Probably the 2 best defensive players you have right there, Tylen Driver and Adam Randolph. Randolph is kind of the opposite side of the spectrum, just a really good high school football player, and you hope that he gets some offers down the road. Driver,
he has plenty of time. He's a sophomore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Driver, the senior leader, I remember he was, looked like a senior and he was a freshman. And so he's going to D1 somewhere down the road. But 2 good stories there from Lakeshore, 2 good leaders, and you still got a lot of time left with Randolph.
3rd and 14. Nelson calls for it, and they'll do the reverse.
Oh, he's got him.
And here's Nicholas in a reverse pass down to Kirby, who's wide open, crosses the 30, 20. And Gaucher trying to run him down. He will get him and throw him out of bounds at the 10-yard line.
They almost missed out on it because he almost ran with it. There's a flag down.
2 flags.
And it looks like it's going to come back.
We'll finish your thought?
Yeah, but almost missed it. Kirby was wide open. If he keeps running and it doesn't stop for Gaucher, he's probably got 6 points there. But whether the flag happens or not, I love the play call because you needed to change something up. And honestly, if you don't have that hold on the edge there, you have a first down inside the red zone. It's a shame that it comes back because you only have so many of those plays in your playbook anyway. And now you got 3rd and 24, and you're kind of stuck because do you run it and just try to play for field position, or down 21-0, you don't want to give this ball back. This is a Lakeshore offense that has not been stopped all night.
Yeah, opening the bag of tricks up early. 3rd and 24. There's 2:13 left on the clock. Back to Driver for a second. Teams of interest. Texas Tech is a big one. They recruit this area pretty big. You have from Covington, Devin Brumfield committed to Texas Tech, and you had Jonathan Piccone from Mandeville, went last year.
Yeah, and Lakeshore has always sent players to college, but not many big-name schools in their history.
And Nelson, the screen down to Iverson Celestine. Celestine still on his feet, barreling forward, and well, the freshman looking like an upperclassman there.
That was really all you could ask for there if you're Fountainbleu, if you're Coach Blocker. Run a screen pass and hope it gets you a first down, get you a good chunk of it. But back to what I was saying about Lakeshore and their history with these D1 offers, have always sent a lot of players to whether it be junior college, Division II, FCS, and some FBS, but not many big names. You had Treston Deku, who signed out of Chadron State and then transferred to Oregon State. David Ducree, LSU, and Al Riles, UL Lafayette. But besides that, not many big names, and Tylen Driver really has a chance to cement himself as one of the better signings ever out of Lakeshore.
So a flag before they could get the punt off. Oh, and Lakeshore.
Timeout, Lakeshore.
Lakeshore called a timeout. So with 1:38 remaining here in the first quarter, Lakeshore leads 21-0. 4th and 10, Mastio on the punt for the Bulldogs. Bernard back deep to receive it. High snap, very high snap over the head of Mastio, and he has to fall on it at the 3-yard line.
I'm a Lakeshore alumni, but I am staying unbiased. But I got to tell you, if I'm sitting on that far bleacher, the Fountainbleu side, I am speechless right now because I'm almost speechless, and I have no connection to Fountainbleu. I mean, you come out here in a rivalry game, try to keep those emotions in check. I don't know how you can right now because unless, a turnover, whatever the case may be, Lakeshore is about to go up 4 scores, and we haven't played 12 minutes of this football game, Grant.
And that's something that we talked about with Jones before the game, Coach Jones, where he said, Lakeshore's playing at a high emotional level. He hopes they go up early so they don't crash down. Here's Penton dropping back. He throws to the end. Wow! Touchdown by Massa.
I want to know where this Chris Penton's been because right as soon as he threw it, I thought, terrible play call. But obviously Coach Jones, he ought to know more about his player than I should. But what arm strength that he has developed over the offseason. And these receivers have been outstanding. They were supposed to be, and they've lived up to their billing. Last year was really just Jacob Bernard. Now, if you're Fountainbleu, you're spread out all over the field trying to cover these guys. This is probably the best offensive quarter in Lakeshore history we're witnessing.
Massa, after receiving the touchdown, will kick the extra point for the Titans. Snap is down, kick is up. And it's good. So big lead, 28-0. Lakeshore leads with 1:25 remaining here in the first quarter. And Massa kicks off for the Titans. Back to Kirby and par for the course. Another touchback.
And again, if you're Fountainbleu, you got to be frustrated because you're looking for any momentum at this point. Kirby has shown he's got speed. He on the trick play earlier got called back. He showed off his speed. So you'd like to see what he can even do. New kickoff returner back there. You haven't even been able to see him in live game action yet. But here you go, 28-0. The challenge for Lakeshore now in this highly emotional game. You start great. Now it's going to be a matter. This is really uncharted territory. Like I said, not just in this rivalry. Lakeshore football in general, really, I don't remember a quarter like this ever. So now it's going to be staying the course.
And that's something Coach Jones, like I was saying earlier, Coach Jones was talking about if they get a lead and having the emotions going, staying the course the full game. This out to Davenport going left side, and he's immediately brought down by Orban.
It looked like good play call, just poor execution. Looked like number 10, Brett Johnson, missed a block there on the edge. Davenport, though, they're going to keep feeding him. And it's going to be up to Lakeshore to try to make those stops. Davenport has been tough to stop so far, but they have contained him.
2nd and 7 for the Fountainbleu Bulldogs. Here, under a minute to go here in the first quarter. Nelson calls for it. Pitch out to Davenport. Trying to get around the side, passing, running through defenders, and gets close to the 50-yard line before being brought down.
That by Davenport.
Brendan Perry.
That burst from Davenport around the 45-yard line came out of nowhere, and he almost broke it had he not stumbled. And that's what I'm talking about. You got to get that ball in Davenport's hands. Really like the lone bright spot for Fountainbleu so far. Keep feeding him. See what you can get here as you're almost into Lakeshore territory for the first time tonight.
Perry, the 5'9", 145-pound sophomore, second-year starter for Lakeshore. Play action. Nelson looking left side, lofts it up, and it is picked off by Gaucher.
Michael Gaucher is one of those players that feels like he's been here for 7 years. He was a freshman starter, started all 4 years, came up big in the last Lakeshore victory here at the Coliseum, coming up early again, and again, just nothing working for the Bulldogs.
So 29 seconds to go here in the first quarter. The Lakeshore Titans take over at the 33. So 1st and 10. Play coming in. Penton from the sideline. Trips bunch to the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, watch for the screen near side with that formation.
Penton, pitch out to Hayes, and Hayes will gain about 8 yards on the pitch.
Yeah, we haven't seen a run play recently with all the good field position Lakeshore has been getting, all those red zone touchdowns. They fake the screen near side with Bernard. They run the speed option to the far side, and 28 points, that's going to wrap up the first quarter. And again, like I said, probably the best quarter of Lakeshore football in their short history.
And at the end of the first quarter, the best quarter in their history, Lakeshore leads 28-0.
St. Tammany Parish Public Schools, an A-rated school district. Graduates with the highest ACT scores in the state. Facilities with the latest technology. Safe and secure schools. A variety of sports. Fine arts. And learning to last a lifetime.
I'm Superintendent Trey Foles, and this is where we educate every child, every day.
So kicking off the second quarter, and Penton slings it out left side and bounces off the shoulder of Massa, incomplete.
Yeah, you hear it growing up all the time. You don't want to catch the ball with your shoulder pads, want to catch it with your hands. That's just what happened there. But again, Penton, put it right on his numbers. Good coverage there from Fountainbleu, though. Haven't seen it too much tonight, but they kept contained that time and guarded that one pretty well.
We lead with our mistakes here. Dave the Rave Williams, a Lakeshore football historian, says that in the first quarter, Lakeshore was leading Pearl River 35-0.
Yeah, he's trying to beat me out a little bit because I try to pride myself on that. He's beating me out for Lakeshore aficionado tonight.
And on the end around, Labastri hit by the turf monster.
Yeah, Labastri's a player that showed a lot of promise as a freshman, didn't get much time as a sophomore, and did not start tonight. But that just shows how deep those receiving core is for Lakeshore, that they can go out there. And that's the first time we've seen Labastri on the field, and he's going, if he was on any other team, he'd start easily in the district.
Punt unit on with Jacob Bernard. Back deep. Lang for the Bulldogs. Rolling out now. That's a high punt, but right out of bounds, and that'll give Fountainbleu some good field position.
Yeah, well, there you go, Fountainbleu. Now, now work with it. If this honestly could be the ball game early. If Fountainbleu can go down and score a touchdown, we got ourselves a ball game again. You get that momentum back on your side, and I think the most important thing would be getting that crowd back into it. Because if you get a touchdown, it doesn't matter what the score is. That crowd is going to lose their minds over there. They're just looking for something to get excited about. So you got that field position, 36 yards. Davenport's been looking good. Ride him and see if you can get yourself into the end zone and get back in this ball game.
And Nelson runs the play in from the sideline, breaks the huddle. It's 1st and 10 from the 36, 11:06 to go here in the half. 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Nelson calls for it. He'll keep it up the middle, and he's bottled up immediately. Maybe a 1-yard gain brought down by Orban.
I don't mind it, though. Again, like I've said, I like the mobility that Nelson does have. Looked like he had a hold of the outside, chose to cut it up, got a yard, and it's 2nd and 9.
Yes, 2nd and 9. As Fountainbleu sits up, 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Motioning out Davenport to the near sideline. Calls for it. Looking downfield, pressure coming almost immediately. Rolling near sideline, and he'll run it out of bounds, and he's brought down. No flag. Contact was made before he got out of bounds.
Yeah, no flag. Lucky break for Lakeshore that time defensively from number 34. That was Scott Scalia. Makes me feel really old because his older brother graduated a year younger than me, and I've known him since he was 5, so that makes me feel great. But anyway, good play there.
The elder statesman.
Yes, good play there. And you force Fountainbleu into a pass situation, which is what you want if you're Lakeshore.
The 3rd and 13. 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Nelson will call for it. Looks downfield, pressure coming down, needs to roll to his left again, and he'll take this one, has room to run. He'll get to the 20-yard line, and that's a first down for the Bulldogs.
Very, very good decision by Nelson that time. If you're the Lakeshore receivers, though, anytime Nelson leaves the pocket at this point, I'm coming off my man until he can prove he can throw it downfield. But there you see the mobility from Nelson, and I like that he didn't force a throw that time. He knows the mobility that he possesses, made a good play, and got himself a first down.
So 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Nelson will be by himself in the backfield. Trips to the right. Calling for it. Pressure almost immediately. He's bottled up and hit from jump. They're brought down by number 9. That is Christian Westcott, a sophomore.
Yeah, Westcott has been coming off the edge every play this drive. He just finally got to Nelson. And expect that to keep happening because it's been happening all game. We just haven't been able to call his name that much because they've been running away from Westcott.
And that'll bring up 2nd and 12, 9:34 and running here in the second quarter. Davenport back in the backfield with Nelson. Calls for it, fakes the pitch, keeps it himself, tried to go back to the middle, and he's brought down by Driver. And that's a gain of maybe 2.
I like the play design, though. Basically a read option, but with the toss, and that's a toss that has worked well for Fountainbleu. So Lakeshore bites on it, Westcott on the edge bites on that pitch, and but good contain. Driver's there to make the stop, and again, you got 3rd and 10, and you're forcing a pass call from Fountainbleu.
The Lakeshore crowd hyped up. Why wouldn't they be? 28-0 lead. Nelson
that's a
rolling right side as pressure bared down from Womack, and he throws it away.
No flag for a hold that time on Westcott, who was manhandled, or it would have been a sack. But that's just a really good job from the Lakeshore defense with the play call. You blitz that time. You don't allow Nelson to scramble. And here we go. Fountainbleu looking to get on the board. A history of very good kickers for Fountainbleu. We'll see if it continues here.
Yeah, Chris Mastio on to attempt
Number 15, Mastio in
the field goal for the Bulldogs. 38-yard attempt is up, and it is. He got it, just got it over the bar, and the Fountainbleu Bulldogs are on the board.
Puts the Bulldogs on the board.
So with 8:36 remaining here in the second quarter, Lakeshore leads 28-3. Mastio to kick off for the Bulldogs following the 38-yard field goal that he just made. Keeps it low as he did in the opening kickoff, and it'll be picked up by Gaucher. He's running toward near sideline, and he's gunned down from the back by Bulldogs. That is Marlboro.
Really nice play by Traylon DeVille that time, who set the edge and did not allow Bernard to set a block, or else Gaucher would have had a lot of room to run, but a nice play by DeVille, keeping that edge set, and Lakeshore has their longest field in front of them since the opening kickoff.
Yeah, 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Hayes in the backfield with Penton. Penton calls for it, looking downfield. They're passing, launches it downfield for Willis. It's caught! And he's down past the 30-yard line. A big gain for Lakeshore once again. That's Penton connecting with Willis.
That's going to be a connection that's going to be there all night because of the height difference. You have Jalen Willis, who's listed at 6'3", 370 pounds, going up against number 41, Sonny Silvers, who's listed at 5'8". So that's a matchup that's going to be there all night, and it has been. And I can't say enough about the play of Penton so far.
Well, now you have Aaron Diamond over here, 5'9", 140 pounds. He's a sophomore.
Either way, just about every corner that Willis is going to go up against this year, he's going to have that height advantage.
Much shorter.
He has it by many inches here tonight.
Penton alone in the backfield, pump faked on the screen, and he ends up throwing it out there to Bernard, and he will gain the first down and be run out of bounds around the 15-yard line. run out of bounds by Traylon DeVille.
Well, I talked about it in the open. It was going to be decision making that was going to tell us if Chris Penton had a good game or not. I was going off of last year's Chris Penton. This year's Chris Penton is much more improved, but there you go. That's the first time we've seen him have to make a good decision instead of going for it all. He wanted to go deep, checked down to Bernard, and he wound up with a first down. And there you see not just, we've seen it tonight, the skill progression, but there is the maturity that we see out of Chris Penton here in his second year starting at quarterback.
And Lakeshore has taken a timeout with 7:55 remaining here in the first half, and Lakeshore leading 28-3. After the timeout, 1st and 10 for Lakeshore. Deep in Fountainbleu territory, they motion out Hayes. And Penton rolling right, tossing the other way, and it's caught by Jacob Bernard. Wow, for the touchdown.
This is, I don't want to jinx it, but this could be a special offense. I mean, just the athleticism, the playmaking. Penton has been incredible. That's got to be a school record already. Or is that 5 now? 5 touchdown passes in the first half. If not, he's at least tied it. But Bernard makes a great play. That's the athleticism that we expected from him. And, I mean, it's just not even a ball game right now.
And Massa on to attempt the extra point. Kick is up and good. So with 7:47 remaining here in the first half, Lakeshore leads 35-3. So Kirby is back to receive the kickoff. Massa will kick it off following the Lakeshore touchdown. Lakeshore leading 35-3, and Massa once again another touchback. And that is just a very valuable weapon when you have a kicker who can put it in the end zone every time and make the other team start at the 20.
Absolutely, and the thing that I think is going to be the storyline now, the Lakeshore wins that have happened, like we said earlier, 1-score, 2-score difference. The first meeting, 49-7. There was the 42-0 game at Fountainbleu, and trust me, when there's scores like that, I mean, I'm class of 2015, we still hear about 42-0. There hasn't been that statement win for Lakeshore in this rivalry, and it's looking like tonight is finally going to be the night in what is now the 6th meeting of these schools.
Nelson, handoff to Davenport, going right side, and he'll gain about 5 yards before being brought down over there by Womack.
This might now be the 7th meeting, which tonight has just been a lesson in how old I am getting, which is...
Yeah, this is the 7th meeting.
Yeah, so that's... Because I was here for the first. It's been 7 years now, and I am feeling extremely old, and I now know what it feels like, and it's great, Grant. I love it.
So about 2 yards on the gain from Davenport. That'll bring up 3rd and 3 for the Bulldogs. And you mentioned the prior meetings, 2011, the first meeting. Fountainbleu won that one 49-7. 12, Fountainbleu won 21-16. 13, Lakeshore won 31-16. 14 was Fountainbleu 42-0.
Yeah.
Then 15, 27-17 with Lakeshore. Last year, Fountainbleu won at home 27-17.
And I mean, personally, I hope that this isn't the trend, but it seems to be in this series as another good defensive stand there from Lakeshore. The team that wins this game doesn't necessarily go on to have the better year because besides that 2011 game, Fountainbleu wound up having a 7-win season that year. Usually a team that winds up winning doesn't necessarily wind up having the better overall win-loss record. It's kind of weird how that works because you'd think with the talent level in the field that would roll over to weeks after. Hopefully both teams can have great seasons after this, but that's another storyline that I think has been interesting throughout the history of this rivalry.
That it is, and on 4th down, Fountainbleu will take a timeout with 6:19 remaining here in the second quarter. Lakeshore leading 35-3. So 4th and 4, Mastio on to punt for the Bulldogs. Snap is back this time to him. Boots this one away, a lot of pressure. And Bernard called the fair catch and got bumped by his own teammate.
Yeah, that was Smeraldo that time who was looking to make a block and instead almost wound up giving the ball back to Fountainbleu in the process, but good concentration from Bernard there. And I mean, at this point now, it's just how are you going to contain the Penton show, the Chris Penton show if you're Fountainbleu? But also the play calling. How's it going to work now? Is it too early to stop going deep up 35-3?
Right.
If it's, I mean, we're not even halfway through the second quarter at this point, so the play calling, that's going to be interesting to see as well here.
Absolutely, and it's 6:13 remaining here in the first half. They have Bernard in motion, and they'll hand it. Well, no, Penton will keep it, and he'll be bottled up in the backfield. And good fight from him trying to get away after he was grabbed in the backfield.
Yeah, that was number 5, Blake Marshall, who has been in this program for 4 years. Happy to see Penton get up there. Dangerous having his ankle held on to that long, but good job from Fountainbleu. That's the one thing you could say about the defense they've done well is they've stopped the run, and they do it again there, a loss of 7 on first down.
Yeah, and once we get back from the heat and humidity timeout, it'll be 2nd and 17. But we go into the official timeout with Lakeshore leading 35-3. Everybody hydrated back. They take the field. Motion Hayes out. They'll throw the screen to Hayes, and that one high and incomplete.
Yeah, that's the first time Penton's missed a pass tonight, and it took him 18 minutes of play to do it. So not a bad way to start. I personally want to know why commentators don't get the heat and humidity timeout as well. I did not receive any hydration. So your statement about we're all hydrated, Grant, I don't know if that's entirely true. You know?
Well, I'm hydrated.
Okay.
I had a Powerade the whole first quarter, but now it's gone. So
that's
I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of the game.
Hope you can make it.
I know. Penton under pressure. Throw goes incomplete, intended for Bernard. And that'll bring up a 4th down for the Titans. I believe only the second time we'll see the punt. We've seen the punt unit all night.
Yes, Grant Sizan on the blitz that time just burst through the hole that time.
Good name.
Timing was off, and it's 4th down, and they always do this, and they finally got me. Lakeshore has been doing that where they keep the offense on the field late and rush the punt on for about 3 years now, and I have not fallen for it once until just now. So finally got me with that, Coach Jones. But this Fountainbleu defense finally starting to get themselves together, it looks like. It's just going to be up to the offense. They got to start making some plays. They still got plenty of time.
And a high snap. Bernard gets it down, and he'll have to run for it. Ooh. He's looking to punt it away and gets it away. Rolling on the ground, and wow, what a job by Jacob Bernard. The ball will be down to about the 21-yard line. We thought this was all over in the backfield, and he somehow gets away from the defenders and kicks it down, and about the 22-yard line is where Fountainbleu
that's the kind of night it's been for Fountainbleu. Just even when things go well, they don't. You get good pressure, you force Bernard out of it, and it's a shame that if you're Fountainbleu that the best athlete on Lakeshore's team happens to be your punter. But that's the kind of night it's been.
So 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs, 21. Nelson hands off to Davenport, and he'll gain about 4 on the carry right side.
Yeah, Davenport's got to have about 50 or 60 yards here in the first half. So, I mean, it's not on him. But when you can't get that pass game going, it doesn't allow you to do much. It's amazing that he has had the game he has so far with the lack of passing game. But, yeah, you got 2nd down coming up.
And this time, Nelson hands off to Celestine, and he's bottled up and brought down by a host of Titans.
Yeah, bring up 3rd down
Led
again.
there by Womack once again.
That linebacking core is there again, and also we saw Brian Fesky there in the middle, plugging up the middle. But now you got 3rd down, 3rd and 5. So maybe a draw play here from Fountainbleu. We'll see.
Play coming in from the sideline. Nelson awaiting it. 2-back set. You'll have 2 to the bottom of the screen, 1 to the top. Calling an false start as Fountainbleu jumps.
Well, you go from 3rd and 5 where you could potentially run a draw to now I would expect a screen of some sort here. With the way Fountainbleu's throwing the ball, you do have to throw it now that you've got a 3rd and 10. But again, you might want to try to catch Lakeshore off guard with another draw play.
3rd and 10, Nelson will call for it, and they're using the hard count again, awaiting the new play from the sideline. Two to the bottom. Once again, the two-back set. Nelson calls for it this time, looking right side, dumps it off. That is Celestine, and he'll be brought down after a gain of about 2, but there's a flag down on the play.
Yeah, Fountainbleu might get away with it here, but they are rushing the punt team on, so it doesn't look like they see the flag yet, unless they just assume that it's on themselves. I would have tried a slip screen there instead of just the bubble screen. Basically a field position move from Fountainbleu, but like I said, Lakeshore bails them out. They're going to get a first down because of the face mask call.
Yeah, face mask on the Titans, and correction, Dwayne Bernard. That was Dwayne Bernard for the Bulldogs. So it's just a 5-yard face mask.
They're trying to take that
3rd and 5.
They're trying to take that Bernard book out of the Lakeshore playbook. So I don't hate the move. He's had a good game, Bernard has, for Lakeshore, so they just want to try to get theirs in there.
That'll bring up 3rd and 4. They're awaiting the play from the far sideline. Still some discussion with the officials.
I will admit, I did not know the accidental face mask still existed in football. So I learned something new tonight.
You do see it very rarely. Usually they give you the full 15. Nelson calling for it. He'll hand off to Davenport. Davenport fighting for the extra yards, and that will be a first down for the Bulldogs.
That was excellent vision there from Davenport, because that hole was on the backside. That's not where he was supposed to run the ball. Made a really nice cut, good vision, and finally he's got to be spelled out. And I talked about it very early in the game. With all the carries he's beginning, he's going to have to be subbed out at some point. He's starting to fatigue a little bit here with about 3.5 minutes left before halftime.
And they have Celestine and Bernard to go to put in the backfield. There's Bernard in there now. Nelson calls for it. He'll pitch it out to Bernard. A lot on that pitch, though. And Bernard hauls it in, still going around right side. He'll be brought down after a gain of about 4.
We'll see when Fountainbleu wants to start going to their 2-minute drill. Still running the ball. It's getting them some yardage, but they get the ball to receive to start the second half. You know, trying to stay optimistic if you're Fountainbleu. If you can get a touchdown here, get a touchdown to start the second half. I mean, we saw Lakeshore in a playoff game 2 years ago come back from a 35-3 deficit and almost win. So it is possible.
Nelson, pass is complete, hauled in by number 9. That is Austin McKay, 5'11", 155-pound junior. McKay hauls it in, and that will give them, let's see.
They're going to give him the first down.
They're giving him the first down.
But that's the second time tonight that we've seen Fountainbleu get an excellent spot when it looked like they were about a yard short.
So 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. 2:30 to go here in the half. And they'll hand it off to Bernard, and Bernard will be wrapped up by Slade Ziegler, but he'll gain about 6 yards.
Credit to the Fountainbleu O-line, because they're finally starting to get these big holes to open up. Whether it's fatigue from Lakeshore, but we talked about it. It's an experienced O-line. It's a large O-line for Fountainbleu, and probably the strength of this offensive unit. And they're finally starting to get some holes up front.
Yeah, Clements, LeBlanc, Alexander, Hernandez, and Gray for the Bulldogs. Snap back to Nelson, and he will keep it. It had a big hole, and he'll get the first down and then some, keeping it himself, and he'll be brought down by a host of Titans, including Randolph and other Titans.
It all comes back to that tempo that Fountainbleu needs to play with, because when they aren't able to, we see halves like these where they only put up 3 points. They're finally starting to get that rhythm going. Inside 2 minutes now, and inside the 40 for the second time. Got a field goal the first time. You'd love 6 before the break.
1st and 10 at the 36. Nelson looking to pass as pressure bears down. He launches this one, and it is in and out of the hands of number 9, Austin McKay.
Yeah, McKay made a good play on the near side. Couldn't hang on to that one. Had to go up and get it and just couldn't hang on. Great defensive play calling again from Lakeshore. You don't allow the quarterback Nelson to scramble when you give him that blitz, and force him to throw the football. That's all you can ask.
The pressure was bearing down from Zach Bernard. Nelson calls for it, throws out to Ford. Ford has room to run, and he'll be run out of bounds, pushed out of bounds over there by John Hogue.
Ford may have gotten the reception on the glory for that, but that's all Austin McKay, because without that block, that play goes nowhere. So a great play by McKay, and now all of a sudden you have a chance with a running quarterback in Nelson. Finally, you can get on the board, and that'd be 10 unanswered. Or no, apologies. Lakeshore scored. So get a touchdown before halftime.
And handoff Davenport. He'll gain about 2 on the carry.
Yeah, and at this point, I'd say it's 4-down territory, because if field goals aren't going to do anything, especially with the way this Lakeshore offense has been playing, 4-down territory. So you got 3 downs to get 4 yards, and the way they've been running the football, you have to be confident if you're Coach Blocker.
I would agree. 1:04 to go here on 2nd and 4 for the Bulldogs. Nelson calling for it, looking to pass, pressure bearing down from Zach Bernard, and hit by Ziegler as he throws it, and it's out the back of the end zone.
Still very good effort from the receiving corps for Fountainbleu. Looked like Nelson was looking for the slant, and he had a man, just held on to it. Looked like he had a chance to run, and then kind of retreated back, floated one up to the end zone, wound up having a better shot at it, the Fountainbleu receiving corps did, than I thought they may have. But don't love the play call, the way you've been running it. Now you've got a 3rd and 4, still 2-down territory, 4-down territory, so I expect a run here.
Yep, 3rd and 4 here on with 48 seconds to go, and Lakeshore takes a timeout. So 45 seconds remaining here in the first half. Lakeshore leads 35-3.
Get on your feet and make some noise, Titan fans.
Ball at the 4. Hand off, going around near sideline, and run out of bounds is Davenport at about the 2-yard line.
First down, run up the middle, I like it. After that, you run outside when you've been running inside and having success. You throw the football. Fountainbleu has no one to blame but themselves if they can't get in the end zone here on 4th down with the way there's been play calling. I expect a play action pass. 3 yards is a lot to ask down near the goal line. Let Nelson use his legs and see if he can get outside the pocket and make a play.
And Nelson will go under center, 3 backs in the backfield. 4th and 3. He'll give it to Davenport, and he is met in the backfield and brought down. Turnover on downs over to the Titans.
If they ran the ball with the fullback, because that's what it looked like. They fooled me. I thought they handed it to the up back. Instead, they go outside. I don't know why you're trying. You're not going to beat this Lakeshore team on this turf with speed. You're just not. They're an extremely quick defense. And like I said, Fountainbleu has no one to blame themselves. And at this point, that might be the ball game. You have a chance to get some momentum going into the half. Instead, now Lakeshore has that momentum. And with 37 seconds and the arm strength that Penton has possessed, Jalen Willis on the outside.
Well, you have that matchup that you talked about earlier. You have Willis and Sonny Silvas, the 5'8", 130-pound junior, over here near side, but they will hand off to Jacob Bernard. And Jacob Bernard running, making some cuts, dancing around, and he'll be run out of bounds, and that's a flag because he got him well out of bounds.
Yeah, Lakeshore gets the call that Fountainbleu didn't on that late hit. And that's what Bernard can do for you. Lakeshore just looking to run out the clock, but they're going to wind up getting about 30 yards here. And now, with 1 timeout remaining, you can start looking to get into Josh Masseran's. And that's what's so great about what Coach Jones has this year with this roster. You have a kicker in Massa that if you get down to about the 25 to 30-yard line, you have a very, very good chance of him being able to have the leg strength to get it through the uprights. So you only need about 30, 40 yards now before you get into Massa's range.
They call it illegal touching, and that'll bring it back.
I guess it was from where
if we
Bernard
had the instant replay, we could look at it. I didn't see it.
I guess it was where Bernard was lined up, but I've never seen that. But
so it'll be 1st down for the Titans. But after all that,
yeah, I would expect that would be basically a death sentence for Lakeshore in this first half. They're probably just now going to choose to run out the clock after something like that.
28 seconds to go. They hand off Bernard once again, going left side. And, man, he is just Speedy.
They're trying to run out the clock, but how could you? I mean, and a great block on the edge by, it looked like Brennan Landclose, the 6'7". You heard that right, 6'7". 275-pound O lineman with a great block on the edge that sprung Bernard that time.
Yeah, this 6'7", 275-pound senior. A very veteran offensive line here for the Titans. 1st and 10 from the 36. 20 seconds on the clock, empty set. Calls for it. Penton looking downfield, pressure bearing down, and he'll be German suplexed by Blake Marshall.
Good job, good way to end the half here. Fountainbleu. Lakeshore obviously trying to get something at the end of the half, but very, very nice stand from Fountainbleu, but what can you say? I mean, just domination on every side of the ball, every face from Lakeshore.
A stellar half for the Titans, and Lakeshore and Fountainbleu head to the locker rooms with Lakeshore leading 35-3. kicking off the second half is Massa, kicking it back to Kirby for the Bulldogs. This one, well, not typical for, not typical for Massa. He usually puts it in the end zone, but Fountainbleu actually, by touching that one and going out of bounds, they pinned themselves farther than where he would have put him with a touchback.
Yeah, it works out better. So, and like we said, we saw it on the Bernard punt earlier. We saw it right there with the Massa kickoff. Even when breaks go Fountainbleu's way, they really don't. They wind up breaking back for Lakeshore. But here we go. We'd love to see a football game. If you're still tuning in, 35-3.
Yep.
Have to start getting a move on if you're Fountainbleu. Anything Lakeshore did in the first half, you could theoretically do in the second half. So.
How much does Lakeshore have 42-0 in their head right now?
Oh, I don't actually. I'll answer after this play.
Nelson standing in the end zone. It's 1st and 10 at the 4. And it's pass, a flag. Flags fly in late as the incomplete pass to Nicholas Ford falls to the ground.
Yeah, actually, that ball getting floated out there worked in Fountainbleu's favor because Goche closed too early. He had too good a position. But you talk about how much Lakeshore has 42-0 in their heads. I don't think this team really does, because that team was everyone who's a senior on this team were freshmen. Anyone who's a junior and below was still in junior high when that game occurred. So they're not really focused on that. And honestly, this is such a much different program. It's a different school. There's so many different things. So right now they're focused on 35-3 and building up that, because they could have a game that makes 42-0 sounds like nothing in the way that they've played so far.
And pass interference was called on the Titans, so that's another break for Fountainbleu, as it is 1st and 10 from the 19. Nelson and Davenport in the backfield. Nelson calls for it. He'll hand off. Davenport trying to go right side. He's hit immediately and dropped down by Womack and a host of other Titans.
Yeah, good play by Womack there. And he's one of these guys that Lakeshore is very excited about, as he is he's a senior now. So, again, getting old. Feel like everybody's younger, but senior on a very veteran group for Lakeshore, as he got a lot of playing time as a junior last year.
And 2nd and 11 for the Bulldogs. Nelson calls for it. He'll keep it himself, coming near sideline, and he'll be brought down before the 25-yard line. Brought down by Gaucher and Womack.
Kind of sound like a broken record here, but I just don't know why at this point. I mean, you might be looking at next week right now and take that running ability that Nelson has and work in the game plan next week. But why that wasn't implemented more, I don't know, because that's something that you can't take away from Nelson. He's a very mobile back there in the pocket, and that is an asset that is very good for this Fountainbleu game plan anyway.
And Nelson passing. Ziegler pressure bearing down. He throws this one and throws it to the sideline out of bounds. That'll bring up 4th down for the Bulldogs.
We talked about pregame. Nelson is replacing 2 quarterbacks. Mason Blocker, who's playing collegiate ball right now. Justin Stolberg, who's at Louisiana Tech. Yeah, so, I mean, you got 2 guys who are playing college ball and were some of the better quarterbacks in the parish. So after having that success of pocket passers, really, I understand it's tough to change that game plan, but that's going to be something that Coach Blocker is going to have to do next week, and as they go into district play, is try to get that running game going with the quarterback.
And the punt goes out at the 41, but we have flags down. And see what the call is, awaiting it from the white hat. An illegal shift. An illegal shift on Fountainbleu, so Lakeshore will decline it. So that'll give Lakeshore 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line.
Yeah, and so this could really be the exclamation point. And
you think they're going to keep their foot on the gas pedal? And
we'll see, because you talk about 42-0. I think that sits with Coach Jones and these players who are playing for Coach Batt more than anything. They want to win this one for Coach Batt more than anything, and they would love to do it with an exclamation point. They have a chance to do that because Fountainbleu has had no answers. And even if they try to run it, we saw what happened in the first half. They tried to run out the clock. They wound up getting 20 yards of carry, so you never know.
Penton throws And it is complete to number 11, this Des Labastri, the 5'11", 170-pound junior. It took a lot just to push him back, but stayed on his feet.
Labastri's got a great set of hands, probably his best asset. And he's one of those players that you can look to over the middle. He's very reliable, and he gets 7 on first down.
That'll bring up 2nd and 3 for the Titans. The base formation with 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. 9:44 to go. Try that hard count.
First time we've really seen that from Lakeshore, and that's something that we've seen a lot in the past few seasons. We haven't seen this tonight.
Dropping back is Penton. Pressure coming. He's rolling to his right, lofts it up. A flag is down, and it is caught by Willis over. And that is a touchdown for Willis as he caught it over Sonny Silvas.
There's a flag down. I think it's going to come back. Fountainbleu is clapping. That's number 5. Blake Marshall's clapping as if it's going to come back. Looks like a hold on the edge.
Hold.
I got to tell you, though, Jalen Willis.
Well, that's that matchup that you were talking about earlier, Silvas and Willis. 6'3" against 5'8".
And, I mean, not just this week, but, I mean, that size 5'8" to 5'10" is a size you're going to see throughout the season if you're Lakeshore.
Correct.
And they finally found a spot for Willis after he missed all sophomore season. Tried to work him in a little bit freshman year, but they finally found a spot for him, and they're just going to send him long. We talked about Treston Dacre earlier. That was kind of his role when he played for the Titans, and so we're kind of seeing Willis take over that role.
And it was a hold as guessed on the Titans. So that'll back them up and bring up 2nd and 22 at the 29-yard line.
It'll be a 2nd and 22 for the Titans.
Motion from Bernard. The play action. Penton, quick middle screen there to Hayes, and he's brought down
18, Joshua
quickly
Hayes.
by Sonny Silvas.
Good job by Silvas that time. You see why he's out there. He's a very good tackler. Has struggled in coverage tonight, but he's had a very tough matchup. And now Fountainbleu has a 3rd and 22 to work with. Just got to, I'd be double covering Jalen Willis right here.
Absolutely. You see that Silvas and Willis matchup. 3rd and 21, 8:44 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Penton calls for it, dropping back, looking downfield, runs to his right, and he'll dump it short to Smeraldo. He'll cross the 50, and that is a first down for the Titans. So they get it at the 48-yard line into Fountainbleu territory.
Great route running, and Penton, if he can play like this all season, this could be a special year for Lakeshore. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he's been incredible tonight, and what we believe is a school record 5 touchdown performance.
I was talking to Dave at half, and he said he believes that Nate Fashon had a,
Yes.
but we need to look back
Yes.
into the record books to see that. But an impressive performance from Penton, and likely a record, or at least tying one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fashon, I kind of forget it because I wasn't here, but
Right.
yeah, he that was the year Lakeshore went 8-2, had that electric offense with Fashon. As the Fountainbleu crowd, we see if we get a shot of that. They're still into it a little bit. They got their flashlights out, so they're still into it over there on the far side.
Yeah, the cell phone lights.
But again, Fashon, that's the game I'm talking about where they were down 35-3 and wound up losing 35-31 in that game. So Fountainbleu can come back. It's just a matter of they got to get off the field quickly, and then that offense is going to be a work in progress from here on out.
Now you're seeing also Lakeshore taking their time in between plays to snap it as Penton throws to Willis, and Willis gaining yards. He's run down from behind by Marlboro, but after a gain of about 7.
Yeah, Willis is going to be someone that coaches next week for East Jefferson are going to be watching, not just on the deep ball, but he shows that he's got a quick first step on screen passes. We saw him do a jet sweep earlier, screen pass right there, so he can beat you in multiple ways.
3rd and 3 for the Titans. Pitch to Hayes. Hayes going left side, has room, cuts it up, still going 30, 25, and he is brought down by his legs by Jordan Burke, the 5'10", 175-pound senior for the Dogs, but not before gaining a first down.
Yeah, Burke did not have a great angle on that one. He made a very nice tackle to save the touchdown, but that's the first time we've really seen Hayes able to break one. You see the agility that time. He's a very good open field runner, and he shows it right there.
1st and 10 at the 23 are the Titans. Hard count once again. 6:28 on the clock here in the 3rd quarter. Penton calling for it. Play action to Hayes. And Lavastri gets it. He's wrestled down by Burke, but he'll gain about 7.
Yeah, it works out. Another great read by Penton. If he would have looked to Bernard on the screen, there was no one there. But that's another thing that Willis does, because last year Bernard was really the only big play factor they had at receiver. But now you've got Willis, you've got Massa, you've got all these playmakers, and they take away the attention from Bernard. And it's going to be very tough to stop this Lakeshore offense all season as long as they stay healthy.
And we have a heat and humidity timeout. We'll be right back. As with 6 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter, Lakeshore leads 35-3. 2nd and 2 for the Titan offense after the heat and humidity break. Once again, while they got hydrated on the field, John and I did not. We don't have anything up here.
This is where the spring conditioning starts to pay off, Grant.
And rolling to his right is Penton. Throws to the end zone to strike to Willis. And that is another touchdown for the Lakeshore Titans.
All right, so I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say that is the record. 6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns in general for Lakeshore has, I mean, it's happened many times, but usually on the ground. And then Jalen Woods, you got to start wondering how many for the single game record. That's 3 touchdowns for him now. And yeah, what I was getting back to. Up here in the booth, this is where that conditioning starts to pay off, because we're getting tired too.
We are.
42-3, 41-3.
Placement down. Massa's kick is up, and it is good. So with 5:35 remaining here in the 3rd quarter, Lakeshore leads 42-3.
Kirby back to receive the Massa kickoff.
So following the Lakeshore touchdown, Massa to kick off once again. Kirby back deep for the Bulldogs, and that one will go out of bounds for a, they'll drop the flag for the illegal procedure. So Fountainbleu will get the ball better, a better spot. But, you know, Massa's probably pretty tired. He's been doing a lot of kicking tonight.
Yeah, he's probably going to have the state lead for points after this one. Actually, no, it's just extra points, so I take that back. It's probably Jalen Willis at this point. 3 touchdowns, and now it's up to the Lakeshore defense to keep their foot on the gas pedal to have that statement win. You know, can they hold Fountainbleu to 3 points all night? Most points scored in this rivalry by anyone was 49. Fountainbleu in the first meeting. Largest margin of victory was 42. So they're at 39 right now, and I know that that's something that Lakeshore would love to have as locker room material, is that title.
Nelson keeps it going right side. He'll gain the first down before being run down at about the 47-yard line by Orvin. But that's a first down for the Bulldogs.
Again, good speed by Nelson. Good blocking on the edge is that's a strength of these receivers, is they're very good blockers. That was number 10, Brett Johnson, making a good block. We've seen Austin McKay make a few good blocks tonight. So the outside run works with Nelson. We haven't really seen it work with Davenport or Celestine so far, but it could change.
Davenport in the backfield with Nelson, and he'll keep it again. Once again, coming left side, and he will gain. He'll be close. He'll gain. I believe he'll gain a first down once again, and he's brought down by Womack. That is another first down for the Bulldogs.
Nelson is someone who can tell, watches the film and does a good job with what he learns. Very good running that read option. He's done it all night tonight, making good reads. Has not made one bad read. And he's got to be getting up there in rushing yards as well. He's had a good night rushing the ball.
1st and 10 from the 41-yard line for the Bulldogs. Nelson by himself in the backfield. He'll take this one running right side, keeping it on the ground once again. and he'll be run out of bounds for, a loss of about 1, and he looked to have fallen on his shoulder.
Yeah,
he's still down over there.
You could see that as soon as he hit, that Nelson came down hard on that left shoulder, and you just hope he can get up. I don't think that's his throwing shoulder, but still, this early in the season, any shoulder injury for a quarterback is never good, and he's still down on that far sideline.
And we will step away for the injury timeout. And we're back. It looks like Bernard came in at quarterback. He'll hand off to Davenport going right side, and he'll gain about 7 yards.
Yeah, Bernard is the running back who I mentioned earlier, is also a quarterback, the backup quarterback. Built a little more strongly than Nelson is, outweighs him by 30 pounds. 190 is Bernard, 160 is Nelson. If you're Coach Blocker, you get to see a backup quarterback due to an injury, but we'll see how Bernard runs the offense, and potentially maybe he gets the nod next week, especially with the way that the offense has been run tonight.
And 4:09 on the clock here in the third quarter. Bernard calls for it. He drops it. And looking to pass, he'll launch it downfield, and it is nearly intercepted off the chest of the DB, and it falls incomplete. Over there, that was Harkin.
Yeah, John Harkin, a senior this year, came into the program as a kicker, actually, and now he's getting some time at DB. A jump ball that time with Johnson. As Nelson now does come back into the game, we're happy to see him back up.
And Nelson in the game with Davenport to his left. It's 4th and 4 for the Bulldogs. Calling for it, fakes the pitch, keeps it, and he will run for it and get the first down. So he comes up after the coming out for due to an injury, and then he takes it himself and runs up the middle for a good gain.
And what I think we're seeing happen is the game plan evolve for Coach Blocker. A guy who likes to air it out more so than other teams do. And I think we're seeing it evolve right before our eyes. Obviously, it doesn't help much being down 39 with a run-heavy offense, but next week, as that screen is completed.
To Ford.
Yeah, that's Nicholas Ford.
A loss of 1.
Next week, you start 0-0, and if you're able to execute the way they have on this drive with the quarterback run, that's something that Fountainbleu can look forward to. Nicholas Ford is somebody I'm surprised we haven't seen much tonight. I don't know if he's banged up a little bit, whatever the case may be, but he was a big playmaker as a sophomore and a junior. That's just his first touch tonight, the senior.
So that brings up 2nd and 10, 3:21 on the clock here in the third. Nelson calls for it, and he'll give it to Davenport going right side, looking for a spot to cut upfield. And he is wrestled out of bounds by a host of Titans after a gain of about 2.
You kind of see it right before it left your picture on the left side as Brett Johnson made a great cutback block that sprung Davenport for the yardage he was able to get that time. As now we got 3rd and 6. Expect an option here.
That was Orban and Womack on the stop. So 3rd and 6. Nelson trips to the bottom of your screen. Nelson fakes the pitch. He'll keep it himself, and he'll be dropped after a gain of 2.
Yeah, really athletic play there from number 34. That was Scott Scalia as he went out to cover the running back, and Nelson read it correctly. It was just a great play by Scalia, able to jump back in and wrap up Nelson as it's 4th down and 4, as Fountainbleu looks to get some points on the board, get in the end zone the first time tonight. 2 minutes left in the third quarter.
And this Lakeshore home side is fired up here on this 4th and 4. As Nelson dropping back, looking left side, steps up, and he will be brought down by Orvin. And that'll be another turnover on downs to the Titans.
Got to give Lakeshore credit. Bend but don't break, and that's a lesson they can use not just tonight, for the remainder of the season, because you're not always going to be up 42-3 with somebody driving. There's going to be those games where it's a tie game, you're trailing, whatever the case may be, and you have to make the stops they just made. And that's what they did there. Fountainbleu, though, most productive drive of the night, I'd say, because you finally see something that you can rely on offensively, and that's that read option attack with Nelson. So something to look forward to next week, and to go into next week's practices looking to focus on.
And Lakeshore will come back out with 1st and 10, minute 56 to go here in the third. Penton and Hayes in the backfield. John, do you think if they could score on this drive, we start seeing some backups come in?
That's the one thing I'm nervous about is I don't know when we are going to start seeing them. I would say the fourth quarter. I'd be surprised if we don't. Coach Jones is not a coach who often likes putting his substitutes in. Not that he would like to. It's just that's not something that he does often. We don't see it very often. So I'd say fourth quarter we'd start seeing it. But we're going to let the third quarter play out. He's going to let Kenton stay in the game, and I'd expect to see Hayes get the majority of the carries here.
They just took a quick timeout off to the side, awaiting Fountainbleu to come back out. But you do like to, in the fourth quarter, and whenever you can possible, get your players those reps, because later in the season, people get banged up, or you get into the postseason, people need to be well prepared for that. And next year, you got to build for your future. And if you can start doing that week 1 of this year, why not?
Absolutely. And, the seasons that haven't gone well for Lakeshore have mostly been due to injuries. So they've learned their lessons with those. Last year and many years prior, it's when they've had these strong starts like they have tonight, it's been injuries down the stretch that have hurt them. So if they can avoid those, the 8-2 season, they had best record in school history, they didn't have to worry about those. So that's something to look forward to, or look out for as this night goes on.
And that pitch to Hayes went right side, and a first down, about a 12-yard gain for Hayes. And John, some stats on Penn. He's 15 of 19, 269 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Those stats from our buddy Andrew Schur.
Yes, Andrew of the Southeastern Channel.
You work with him at the Southeastern Channel.
Yes, I would just like to say we didn't know we were working this game together. He looks over to me at the end of the first quarter and asks if it was me. Small world after all. But yeah, from the Southeast Channel. Working for NOLA.com tonight. But yeah, Penton has been incredible. 6 touchdowns, school record.
And another flag down. That is a false start on Lakeshore.
Just delivered. Hot pizza.
But a big thanks to Andrew for the stats.
At the concession stand, $2 a slice.
Is he a good employee at the Southeastern Channel?
Listen, I don't know. Andrew just started on Monday. So I can't tell you. All I know is I was told that he's answering to me. So,
well, he's very good with stats.
Well, I will take that into consideration then.
So 1st and 15, a minute 7 to go. Toss is complete to Bernard, and Bernard wrestled down by Dominic Ducree.
Yeah, something I was looking at earlier before the season even started, this schedule for Lakeshore, teams that they've never played up against, and I think that speaks to the program that Coach Jones has been able to build. Bringing in Hancock County in a few weeks, a school from Mississippi. First time Lakeshore's ever played a school from outside the state of Louisiana. And it kind of speaks that they, here at Lakeshore, are looking to become a Mandeville, are looking to become what Fountainbleu was in the mid-2000s, where they're just one of those North Shore powerhouses. And they're starting to do that with the way they're scheduling. 7 home games here at Lakeshore this season because of the great facilities they have. And hopefully this performance tonight is just a precursor to what is hopefully a special season here down 1088.
The toss to Hayes to the left side, no gain there. That'll bring up 3rd and 4, and that will end the third quarter. So at the end of the third, Lakeshore leads 42-3.
St. Tammany Parish Public Schools, an A-rated school district. Graduates with the highest ACT scores in the state. Facilities with the latest technology. Safe and secure schools. A variety of sports. Fine arts. And learning to last a lifetime.
I'm Superintendent Trey Foles, and this is where we educate every child, every day.
Starting off the fourth quarter, empty set. Penton doing the hard count here, 3rd and 6, ball at the 39. New play coming in from the side. You have trips to the top of your screen, 2 to the bottom. Penton dropping back, looking to pass. Good protection. Pass is tipped to Labastri. He crosses the 20, 10-5, and he's forced out of bounds at about the 3-yard line. And what a lucky break. It was tipped up and fell down into Labastri's hand.
That is a throw of a college quarterback. Future college quarterback, I'm going to say. Because that was a beautiful pass from Penton. And Labastri, you see the speed going down the sideline, and Lakeshore, with a score here, would have the largest lead in the rivalry history. It would wind up being the largest margin of victory if things stood up. So that's what we talked about earlier. That might be what they're playing for at this point, playing for Coach Battistella. You know, an emotional week for Lakeshore, and they've answered every single call tonight.
I can't wait to see the replay on that. Silvas didn't get his hand on that at all?
I don't. You may have seen it. I personally didn't.
No? Wow. Then that was well thrown.
Yes. You at home be the judge.
Yeah. The first and goal for the Titans. And they have Bernard back in the backfield with Hayes and Penton. And a flag is called. False start called on the Titans. So it'll be 1st and 12. 11:47 to go here in the 4th. First and 12. Motion from Labastri. Penton throws flare out to Labastri, crossing the 10, 5, and touchdown. Beautiful play call.
Seven touchdowns. Wow.
It'll be 48-3, pending this extra point.
Now, Grant, I want to give you an assignment for this upcoming week. I want you to find out this week what the St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah, Dave Williams and I will go into the record books.
I expect a text and I expect a full report, because this has been
masterful
an incredible performance.
Massa, extra point attempt is up, and it is good. 49-3, Lakeshore leads with 11:41 to go here in the game. So Massa to kick off following Lakeshore's 7th touchdown of this game. Penton, 7 touchdown passes. That one back to Kirby. He'll return this one. That one didn't hit to the end zone. But Kirby will be wrapped up. He'll be brought down by Orvin.
Good return by Kirby. I like what he does. Gets the ball and just goes straight ahead. Get the best field position you can. We got a player down around midfield.
And he's walking off.
A couple of Titans shaking up on the play.
But we will step away for the injury timeout. So after the stoppage, it's 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Nelson dropping back, looking to pass. He launches it downfield, and it is picked off by Gaucher, and no, he's out of bounds.
Would have been Gaucher's 2nd pick of the night. Just ran out of real estate that time. I don't hate the play call. Go just chuck one up there, see if your receiver can come down with it.
So 2nd and 10 from the 27 for the Bulldogs. It's 49-3. Lakeshore leads.
We're talking about the starters for Lakeshore coming out. You wonder when the starters for Fountainbleu are going to come out. Also, because they've got a whole season to play after this one as well. It's good speed from.
That'll be another first down on the ground for Nelson. And they've seen a lot of success when running Nelson.
Absolutely. I don't want to say I called it, but I said in the first half, I don't know why they're not trying it more, because he's shown all game that he has very good mobility back there. And I just think it was a game plan that just didn't work out for Fountainbleu. They wanted to try to throw the football, wanted to try to run it with the backs up the middle. Just didn't work out. And I expect next week we'll see that quarterback run much earlier.
Nelson calls for it, and that one, he throws it way too high and behind Nicholas Ford.
Yeah, good play by Goche, because he could have upended Nicholas and Ford, and you never like to see that where players land on his head. So a good play by Goche laying off. Most likely would have been a penalty, so a smart play by Goche laying off that time.
Fountainbleu going right back to the ball. It's second and 10. They try the hard count on Lakeshore, but everyone holds discipline.
Yeah, we've also got a running clock at this point, so even incomplete passes, that clock still runs as we're just below 10 minutes to go in the fourth.
Toss to Davenport coming near sideline, and he will be forced out of bounds over here by Torrey Super.
There we go. I told Grant during a commercial break I was very upset that Super hadn't gotten in the game because I just wanted to say his name. So there we go. Ask and you shall receive.
Third down. Third and three for the Bulldogs. You have Nelson and Davenport in the backfield. Base set. Give to Davenport, and he will be stopped possibly short. Let's see where they spot it. They've given him, in these kind of situations, they've given him the generous spot twice. So, nope, this will bring up fourth down for the Bulldogs in the quick snap and running forward, and there they have the first down on the Nelson keeper. But you mentioned possibly Fountainbleu pulling their starters, but they could be looking just to get more reps against anybody.
Yeah, we talked about it pregame. Griffin Nelson never had the luxury of getting any snaps in garbage time. There weren't many. Justin Stolberg wasn't injured last year, so he hasn't gotten any real varsity action until tonight. So you're right. This is his audition, and when he's run the football, he's been good. That was his best throw of the night right there.
Yeah, big gain on the completion to Austin McKay, and that'll bring up first down and 10 for the Bulldogs from the 33-yard line.
What I would love to see, because I'd love to see this Fountainbleu offense next week, after a week where if they do decide to go with the game plan where they utilize Nelson as our scrambler, I feel like this offense could move the ball. I don't think they're going to be as prolific as Lakeshore has been tonight, but if you can get in a situation where you're taking 6-7 minutes off the clock, just running the ball and scoring touchdowns. They haven't scored yet, driving here about midway through the fourth. But this is an offense that if the defense could step up, Fountainbleu could win some football games this year, because Dawson Nelson has proven that he can run the football and run it extremely well tonight.
And he'll keep it himself here running it, and that will be, he'll be stopped about a yard short of the first down. And that'll bring up third down. It was Orvin on the tackle. So that'll bring up third down and 1 for the Bulldogs.
Also, with the way Nelson has read the option tonight, he's done a great job. Unfortunately for him, Lakeshore is one of the most disciplined defenses he's going to face all year. So when you get into an aggressive defense, I think they're going to have a lot of success. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. When they get into district, very tough. You know, you've got nothing but experienced ball clubs in there. But for non-district, gaining some momentum before they go into district, going to be very important for Dawson Nelson to continue making the reads he has, because that's something you can't knock him for tonight. He's done nothing but read the option well.
So first and 10 for the Bulldogs, 6:47 remaining here in the fourth. Handoff to Bernard up the middle, and he'll gain about 3.
Also, if they do decide, and I might just be speculating on this, they might have the same game plan. But we'll see if Dwayne Bernard gets any chances as a Wildcat quarterback, because obviously he is good enough to be one of the he's in the mix at running back. Stocky guy, 190 pounds, packs more of a punch than Nelson does. So we'll see if he gets any chance as a Wildcat quarterback in the future.
And that one incomplete as pressure from Ziegler bear down on Nelson. He was looking to get the screen, but that jailbreak got to him a little too quickly.
Yeah, I think he retreated a little bit too much that time. Slow developing play, and that's something they can work on next week.
And we'll have an official timeout for heat and humidity break as Lakeshore leads 49-3 here with 6 minutes remaining here in the fourth. With 5:56 to go here in the fourth, 3rd and 5. Nelson calls for it. He'll keep it himself, going right side. Orvin looking to run him down, and Nelson fumbles it, and it is, they call it a touchback.
Oh, wow.
So Nelson nearly scores the touchdown, loses the ball, and it's Titans ball at the 20-yard line.
That is the night it's been for Fountainbleu. Man. And I was getting a little disappointed because that largest margin of victory was about to go away. But, you know, great stand by Lakeshore.
He was a Lakeshore alum.
Yes. Yes, I'm a bit biased. As now, finally, the starters have come out. Orvin and Brown are in the backfield for Lakeshore.
That's Parker Orvin. He's a junior, 5'9", 160-pound quarterback. He will hand off to Brown. It's David Brown, who's listed at 5'5", 190, built like a bowling ball. He will truck you.
Yeah, wow. 49-3. But he's been getting carries since his freshman year. Looked like he was most likely going to be the starter after Randy Raymond graduated. They moved Hayes to running back, and he's really been the only guy they've had at running back tonight. They haven't had a running back by committee, so Brown hasn't gotten much playing time. Happy to see him here because he's a kid who has been in the program 4 years, has gotten playing time all 4 seasons, and a very good runner with the football. So there's a reason he's out there.
And because of the heat and humidity, there's some cramping on the field, and we'll step away for the injury timeout.
Brown and Orvin in the back.
After the injury break, Orvin in the backfield on 2nd and 9. Clock running, 4:58 to go here in the fourth. Orvin calls for it, hands it off to Brown, and he is brought down in the backfield.
Yeah, that was number 52 that time, Jacob Cross, senior linebacker, making his first tackle tonight.
And, you know, John, I've been here for 2 graduation cycles. I've been working at Channel 13 for 2 graduation cycles. Both times I've heard about this rivalry in graduation speeches. They'll be talking about this one.
Yeah. And,
at the Lakeshore graduation in May.
Absolutely, and I talked about it. I heard all about 42-0 my entire senior year. And every Fountainbleu senior this year, and student really, is going to hear about 49-3. I heard about 49-7 all my freshman year, and it's just the way the rivalry goes. This is a great rivalry. You know, there's all these students grew up together. Most of them went to middle school together and then kind of branch off. And so there's friendships on both sides, and a lot of these players played youth ball together. Just an excellent rivalry, and I've said since its inception, being a part of this rivalry, that it really is probably the best in St. Tammany Parish Public Schools. Of course, you'd like to see a closer game, but, you know, it doesn't take away from this whole week leading up to it. The game itself, the atmosphere, the energy, it just can't be beat, and it won't be beat all year. And that's why I talked about whoever wins this game, they go 1-9 the rest of the year. But those bragging rights that you gain from week 1 against Fountainbleu or Lakeshore, they stay with you for 365 days.
And they'll let the play clock run down, and there Coach Jones takes the timeout on 4th down. So with 3:15 remaining here in the game, Lakeshore leads 49-3. It's 4th and 16 for the Titans. And James Hood in the punt for the Titans. He rolls to his right, and he'll punt this one away. Low line drive punt, but gets some spin and caught and driven back by Christian Westcott. And there's a flag down. Back, possibly a hold.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a, it's either a hold or it's a running into the punter, but it looked like they got a little piece of that one, so I don't see, like, that would be the penalty.
Well, the penalty was declined. So 2:54 to go here in the game. And we'll see where they spot it. The Whitehead had to go all the way back to pick up his flag. And Lakeshore cheering section chanting the na 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 na, hey hey, goodbye.
Something that I don't think should be lost. This is the most important game of the year for both teams, unless one team is playing for a district championship or a playoff berth or a playoff game. But for these seniors, this is a tough one to swallow. And to start the season like this, rivalry game, as a senior class, this is a tough one to get past. And so hopefully for Fountainbleu, they're able to bounce back. I think they have something to work with on offense for next week. The defense has shown up a lot more than they had in the first half. So that's something to build off. They have some momentum on defense. They've made a lot of stops defensively in the second half. But for these seniors, a very experienced ball club for Fountainbleu, veteran ball club, you hope that they're able to bounce back and get some momentum going into district, because that district is a gauntlet. Tiger Edwards always calls it the SEC of the North Shore, so got to get prepared, and you got to execute earlier in these next few games.
There's 2:51 left on the clock. We talk about moving forward. Lakeshore heads to EJ. They play them frequently. EJ had some success early, and here's a big run from Bernard. He's forced out of bounds after crossing the 30, and they keep the clock running. EJ had some success a few years ago, but the program's kind of fallen off recently. Lakeshore should do pretty well against that EJ team.
Yeah, unfortunately, EJ left the Titans district when they started that decline. It was when they were in that, making trips to the Superdome when Lakeshore had to play them every year. So a familiar opponent for Coach Jones, not so much these players. And then Fountainbleu, they've got Franklinton. Franklinton's in a little bit of a decline as well, but always
But they
has
have a lot of
athletes,
athletes, absolutely. And this one, though, that's they call a touchdown. No flag there, but a touchdown for Fountainbleu, and that is Kirby with the touchdown.
He almost gave it up.
31-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, finally get on the board, and that was Bernard throwing that one. Yeah, that's textbook pass interference offensively. And there goes that record margin. So we'll see if it stands up. But
Mastio comes on to attempt the extra point with Bernard holding. Snap is back. It's low, but the kick gets up, and it is good. So with 2 minutes remaining in the game, Lakeshore leads 49-10. Mastio kicking off for the Bulldogs following their touchdown. They tried the onside kick, and it is recovered by the Titans at the 47-yard line.
Covered by the Titans. Number 25, Foster Willie.
Foster Willie, the 5'9", 155-pound senior receiver with the recovery.
As an alum, I'd love to say congratulations. I know that the week after a Fountainbleu win is always a good one. To these Lakeshore students. And then Chris Penton, my goodness.
Game ball.
I would say that and then some. Because if you would have told me that Chris Penton would come out and throw 3 touchdown passes, I would have thought, okay. But to throw 7, I mean.
And Brown still on his feet. And like I said, like a bowling ball, just trucking through the pins there. And he's eventually brought down after the first down around the 38-yard line.
There's a reason Brown's on the roster. He runs the ball hard. But, 7 touchdowns, just unprecedented. And you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff here at Lakeshore. You got to give credit to Penton.
And there's a flag down on that one as Brown runs the ball once again.
And then finally, this receiving core is going to be dangerously deep as long as they stay healthy, because they've got guys who aren't even on the field when the game starts that have all district talent.
They've been huge for Coach Jones' squad tonight.
Yes, absolutely huge.
So that backs them up. At a minute 14 to go here in the game. It's a hold called on Lakeshore. And another thing, Lakeshore, a 4A program. beating the Fountainbleu 5A program, one of the biggest schools in the state, with 49-10.
And but that's been the great part about this rivalry is that was one of the complaints about it when it first started was it was a 4A going up against a 5A, but you'd never know that in the way the game's played because these are two schools with very similar skill sets as Brown loses the ball there.
And Lakeshore will recover it as Foster Willie falls on it. Foster Willie coming up big again.
Yeah, two touches for Willie. I don't think he thought he'd get that in the Fountainbleu game, but good job by the senior there. But that's been the great part about this rivalry is that the school size does not matter. And it really has not mattered to Lakeshore since they opened. They haven't let that intimidate them. And you know, with the numbers Lakeshore has and the talent pool around here, it is such a hotbed for talent, and they get so many good players. The size really doesn't mean anything to them.
And Brown's carry, no gain, bring up third down. With 20 seconds left on the clock. And as the players are lining up to shake hands, so Lakeshore will win this one 49-10 here at home against their rival Fountainbleu. So let's take a second to thank those who helped bring you this game, starting with our superintendent, Mr. Trey Folse, our director of broadcasting, Dr. Melody Menard, sideline camera, Rhett Sharp, camera editor and coordinator of Channel 13, Dave the Rave Williams, color analyst tonight, John Sartori. So, from Lakeshore High School, where the Lakeshore Titans defeat the Fountainbleu Bulldogs 49-10, my name is Grant Yenny. Good night. You are now leaving the Prep Zone.